I was in that 49ers locker room last night, and now I'm standing in front of Ben Franklin. Good spot for some good news and a very deep reaction of that preseason game. Starting with some smelling salts. That will get us going on this morning in Washington Square in San Francisco. But continuing with news that Kurtis Rourke, 49ers quarterback, who was so good last night, 12 of 14, 101 yards, some tough running, discharged from the hospital last night. So I can bring you that relieving news. I think there had been some fear that there was a lung injury. The ribs were the injury that forced Kurtis Rourke out of the game after some of that tough contact. But when x-rays were inconclusive, the 49ers sent him to the hospital just to be safe. So Kurtis is out of the hospital. We'll see how long he is out. Chargers are next week. Maybe more Adrian Martinez, maybe some Mac Jones, and probably some Brock Purdy and the starters, at least for a little bit next week. And we're going to get to see those starters paired with Zhaun Stribling, who was an absolute stud yesterday. I want to start on the defensive side of the ball, though, because I just watched the tape, and Gracen Halton destroyed against the run game. That's really, really important. Everybody knows the play where he beat Peter Skoronski, the highest paid guard in football, $25 million to Cam Ward. How about this attitude from humble Halton?
Next week and get put on my behind. So, I just got to be humble and, got to take one day at a time, get better, get in the film room. And, this is probably something I could have done better on that when I got Cam Ward. So, just critique that, just get better.
Also, Gracen Halton is absolutely hilarious. He imitated Nick Bosa very well, and he cracked the entire room of reporters up.
I love Nick Bosa. I told him first time I got here, I've been watching you since I was in middle school. So,
What did he say about that?
He was like, yeah. Is that right? That's my guy, though, I love bro.
Speaking of Nick Bosa, I saw him yesterday. No knee brace. He was up in the top level of the Levi's Stadium box watching the game. Said hi to Nick, and right now he's dealing with the knee tendonitis coming off of the third ACL injury that he's had in his football career. 49ers trying to ramp him up for week 1. So I think all in all, good news there on Bosa. Christian McCaffrey was also at the game. Precautionary absences right now happening for Christian McCaffrey. We'll see if he's back out to practice for the 49ers next week. Zhaun Stribling, 7 catches, 63 yards. It's funny, Kyle Shanahan, we know he coaches those receivers hard. I think that Kyle Shanahan saw that Zhaun missed a block in the run game on a run to the left in drive number 1. So this was Kyle's evaluation of Zhaun Stribling's performance.
It seemed good. I mean, we'll see when we watch the film. I thought he struggled a little bit on the first drive, but I think he got 3 drives after that, and seemed like he executed all the stuff that went to him. And I liked how his hands looked out there and played physical. He's moving around. Yeah, we're switching him up throughout the week, and he did a number of different things today too. He's handling it well. I mean, it was tough when he got hurt. He missed that week, and now he's been back for I believe a week, and hopefully he can string together 2 more of these weeks because he's going about it the right way. And as long as he gets those reps and continues to do what he's been doing, should be ready for the season.
Kyle doesn't want the rookie's head to get too big, but I'm not sure that's going to be a problem. Zhaun Stribling, so impressive, so buttoned up in his interviews, son of a Marine. And, what he did past drive 1 yesterday, we saw the tremendous athleticism and the catching ability. He looked like someone who didn't belong on that field yesterday because he should have been with all the starters as far as athleticism and receiving skill went, who were watching in street clothes. But just like Gracen Halton, we have a rookie here in Zhaun Stribling. And the 49ers needed to break the ice, get him into the game, and next week he's going to start to have a chance to work with some of the 49ers starters. Somebody who I think also had tremendous arrow up yesterday was Jordan Watkins. You see the tough catch over the middle here? We saw a couple of those 6 catches for Jordan Watkins here in his second season. And, Jordan He's a player who, talked to him in the locker room yesterday, he is stronger than he was last year. Remember, he sprained his high ankle sprain in the preseason last year. That set him back as a rookie and put him behind the 8 ball, and really was the reason he couldn't significantly contribute for the 49ers last season, even though they needed some receiver play. This year, he obviously got through this first game unscathed. That's good, but one of the reasons that he thinks that he's been healthier and he's been available all training camp so far is he's added some muscle, lowered the body fat percentage, gone from about 195 to 202 to 205 pounds, and he credits his diet for that.
Yeah, I think I just spent a lot of time this offseason just really working on my diet. I think my diet has been a big part of, me being able to stay healthy, especially through this camp and get through this camp. I kind of bulked up a little bit. I'm about 205 to 202, staying in that range. I think last year I was about 195. So, just really, I think I dropped in like 1% body fat as well, like 2%. So, just making sure that I'm leaning out a little bit and then just cleaning up my diet and really just trying to stay healthy this year.
What is your diet?
A lot of it's just a lot of protein. I try to cut out as many carbs as possible. I like to only eat carbs in the morning. But then, in the afternoon, there's a lot of steak, a lot of chicken, especially at dinner too, vegetables, and, I'm a really big sweet tea drinker, so I'm trying to stay away from the sweet tea and the sweet coffee. So.
By the way, city scene this morning. There's St. Peter and Paul Church right behind this statue of Benjamin Franklin in North Beach. That's where Joe DiMaggio from this neighborhood in North Beach and Maryland and Monroe took their wedding pictures. Shout out to the San Francisco Italian Athletic Club, Coit Tower, and just a look around Washington Square in North Beach. Beautiful, beautiful morning to talk some 49ers football. Now, injury report, the ones that we know from yesterday or added to the list yesterday. Jack Jones, a hand injury. He's a veteran corner who'd been playing some explosive football for the 49ers in training camp. And it turns out that Nate Hobbs, who I'd been talking about a lot the last couple practices, some pass breakups, some fiery play against the Titans in the joint practice, Nate Hobbs strained his groin on Tuesday, so both he and Jones are currently hurt. That is a blow to the 49ers cornerback depth, because they signed these two veteran guys over the offseason and looked, much bolstered room. But it is right now a concern because Hobbs is going to be out for at least a few weeks. We don't know the severity of Jones's injury. Of course, we saw Ephesians Prysock yesterday, and here's what Kyle Shanahan said about the long rookie cornerback out of Washington.
Anytime rookies come in, they got an uphill battle. He's been able to stay healthy and go through these 2 weeks, which I think has been really good for him. It looked like he did some good things today, and but like I said, I'll wait till I see the tape, and hopefully I'll continue next week.
So as you can tell, Kyle Shanahan does not offer glowing assessments really of any rookie. You've got to earn it in his system, and that really underscores why the Jack Jones and the Nate Hobbs injuries really threaten the 49ers, because you would like to have veteran depth at such an important position. We talk a lot about the Brian Allen disaster in 2020 when the 49ers ran out of experienced cornerbacks. The reason that you get Jones and you get Hobbs is so you don't run into situations like that. Now, the good news is the 49ers been able to bubble wrap Lenore, Renardo Green, Upton Stout, their three best corners. Those guys are still available, and the regular season is still about a month away. It's, September 11th in Australia. So still some time for Nate Hobbs, and for Jack Jones, we don't even know the severity of the hand injury to get back for the 49ers. We talked about all the standouts for the 49ers between this video, and we'll get to more, and yesterday's instant reaction. A concern I have, Alfred Collins. I thought that the big defensive tackle, now he's coming off of shoulder surgery. He's only been back for about a week, so maybe he's not back to playing shape at this point, but I thought that he got pushed out of the run game a few too many times yesterday, especially in that first drive if you watch the touchdown from Tony Pollard. But J.C. Latham, who is the right guard for the Tennessee Titans, they played their starters, and the 49ers went toe-to-toe with those starters. That was the good news. But Alfred Collins got removed by J.C. Latham. And, I wonder about two guys. I wonder about Alfred Collins, and I wonder about Nick Martin. Why do I wonder about them? Well, they were drafted when Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator. Now Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator. And one thing that I'll tell you about that 49ers locker room, and I walked in yesterday, it is striking to experience the size of that Feverback position, which is both a defensive end and a linebacker, right? So Romelo Height, very tall, long player. Jaden Duggar, even longer with the 7-foot wingspan I've been talking about. Larry Worth, a 6'4" linebacker, and James Thompson, a 6'6" rookie defensive tackle, combined for a sack yesterday. It's just a long rookie crop that the 49ers have, and since I was up close and in person yesterday, I was able to even more fully appreciate it. Somebody like Nick Martin, much shorter, right? Explosive, fast, but doesn't fit the 49ers' Raheem Morris linebacker size profile. Doesn't fit the same profile that they drafted here in 2026. And then somebody like Alfred Collins, to me, really seems more like the Sala prototype defensive tackle. Maybe a Zhaun Kinlaw, Eric Armstead hybrid, but that's something that obviously fits more in the 4-3. Let's put it this way, I am curious right now. I'm eminently curious to see how the 49ers end up integrating and fitting Alfred Collins and Nick Martin. And I know they have a special package for Nick Martin, the shorter, explosive linebacker. I told you guys about that on Tuesday. But I'm very curious to see how they end up fitting those guys and constructing the 53-man roster. And I don't think it is out of the question at all if one or both of these guys is moved at some point, just because the NFL stuff changes fast. And I've noticed the size profiles, but yesterday I noticed on the field that I thought that Alfred Collins was the one 49ers defensive tackle who struggled. They got excellent play from Gracen Halton. They got excellent play from the Hulk, Sebastian Valdez, who even delivered on kick coverage while he was being held. Maybe they carry 5 defensive tackles on this 53-man roster because they've got hybrid defensive needs, right? They're going to be playing with a 4-man front. They're going to be playing with a 5-man front. And quite frankly, it's an opposite situation of last year where they didn't have any defensive tackle depth. Now it looks like they do, but they also have different defensive tackle needs. And I will be watching Alfred Collins very, very closely. I'll also be watching Nick Martin closely. You know, that linebacker position, if you're running more 3-4 stuff, it means that your linebackers are going to be taking on offensive linemen with a little bit more regularity, and they're going to have more block shedding capability, and that's why you love the long arms of players like Jaden Duggar at that inside linebacker position. And that was awesome from Jaden Duggar yesterday when he cut off Cam Ward to the corner. Again, the vision of Raheem Morris is on full display. I think Duggar very clearly is on the track to some significant playing time for the 49ers, but he's going to have to continue to improve and port his length and game to the next level, even as defenses start to get some tape on him. Defenses don't have any tape really on a linebacker with a 7-foot wingspan because those guys normally play edge rusher. So it's going to be this constant chess match. But I would say that move 1 has certainly been promising for the 49ers as they build up this defense under Raheem Morris.
Just like guys separating themselves. I think we got a number of guys competing to make this team, a number of guys competing to play, a number of guys competing to try to make this practice squad. And I like when guys make it so we don't have to make a tough decision. I like guys to jump out in these games. I like them to jump out in practice. And, we've, 4 of the guys that we had today didn't start training camp with us either. So, we've had new guys in there, but I think a lot of them have done some good things in this week, and they did the same things today, and hopefully that'll continue throughout camp.
That was Kyle Shanahan on the 49ers defensive ends who had a chance to showcase themselves with Nick Bosa out, with Michael Williams out, obviously also no Keon White for the 49ers as he deals with the adductor injury. We saw Titus Leo pressure Cam Ward into that embarrassing play near the goal line. That was just a high-effort play from Titus Leo. And I thought Sebastian Valdez, the defensive tackle, had a big part of that because he was able to push the guard back about 5 yards into the backfield. It's always a team effort when it comes to the pass rush. And in many ways, the 49ers this week showed promise pass rushing wise that they didn't have at the end of last season, that's for sure, after everybody got hurt. Only 20 sacks, which was an NFL low for San Francisco in 2020. 25. But they terrorized that Titans offensive line on Tuesday. And again, this Titans offensive line's got some vets. Dan Moore Jr. was getting into fights with Osa Odighizuwa on Tuesday. But I talk about Peter Skoronski, the highest paid guard in football. Gracen Halton was beating him. And 49ers were getting some pressure from the edge. I warned everyone that Romelo Height is going to have to get the penalties under control. The very first play for Romelo Height was a hands to the face penalty. It's been mainly the offsides issues for him in camp, but you have to play flag-free football. And I understand that he's a player that's slightly undersized if you talk about especially a 4-down edge rushing position, and he's going to be relying a ton on speed, and he's going to be relying a ton on staying away from the bigger bodies of offensive tackles, but he'll continue to add to his tool bag. You look at him and the 6 colleges in 6 years and the level of polish that he's come with when it comes to some of the techniques. I think it's going to be as simple as finding NFL rhythm, finding NFL discipline, and snap counts are tougher to time in the NFL. The intricacies of this game are played at such a higher level once you graduate to the pros. And right now is that learning period for Romelo Height, who definitely falls into that Feverback group for the 49ers, maybe more pass rush oriented than somebody like Jaden Duggar, although the 49ers want these defenders that can do a little bit of everything. Connor Colby did not look good for the 49ers yesterday. Played right guard, which is, to me, a sign that he is not a serious contender for that left guard position anymore. The 49ers will say that he is, but if he's not even playing at that spot, and he already struggled for San Francisco last year, well, I think that he's fighting to be on the roster at this point, trying to show some versatility. Cody Barton on the Kurtis Rourke play early on, where Kurtis Rourke scrambled and got Cody Barton, the blitzing linebacker, off of his back. I think that was Connor Colby's assignment, and he wasn't able to pick him up. He was trying to block who Drake Nugent, the center, was trying to block. So that was not a good play. We can confirm this week who was at fault in that particular play. But, Rourke shook off Cody Barton. That's the same linebacker who Brock Purdy taunted last year and immediately apologized to when the 49ers played the Titans. Barton had been with the Seahawks prior to that, and in 2022, Brock Purdy, remember on the scramble, high-stepped Cody Barton. So Barton, the linebacker of the Tennessee Titans now, and 49ers quarterbacks, 7th-round quarterbacks, Brock Purdy and now Kurtis Rourke. Some real history there, and we saw that history continue last night. Now, the 49ers only had 2 quarterbacks suited up yesterday, as predicted, Kurtis Rourke and Adrian Martinez. Adrian not nearly as accurate as Kurtis Rourke, but once Kurtis got hurt, it was Adrian or bust for the rest of the game. Had Adrian Martinez gotten hurt, the 49ers would have had to go to an emergency plan since Mac Jones wasn't dressed. That emergency plan would have been the tight end, Braden Willis. Listen to how the 49ers got ready for the potential crisis.
Second quarter on, we were talking about what guys who are in the game who could take a handoff and hand it off, or take a snap and hand it off. So Braden Willis was going to go in. We were doing handoff drills with them at halftime.
So the stakes wouldn't have been as high as the NFC title game where the 49ers ran out of healthy quarterbacks in Philadelphia. So it would have been entertaining to see Braden Willis have to take snaps and hand the football off. But thankfully it didn't happen. Don't want players to get hurt. Adrian Martinez, that got better as the game went along, but was just misfiring early on. I think it's the first game. It's the first time you're getting hit as a quarterback. I think it's a testament to Kurtis Rourke's toughness that he looked as good as he did. Kurtis Rourke played 2024 at Indiana on a torn ACL, so he's a stud. He's on track to be the 49ers QB3. Adrian Martinez probably fighting for one of those practice squad spots, and there's a good chance that he'll look a lot better next week when the 49ers play the Chargers. I don't think they're going to add another quarterback. I think that they're very likely that you see the 3 available ones, even if Kurtis Rourke isn't, play against the Chargers. Probably a couple series of Purdy, a little bit of Mack, and then have Adrian Martinez take the 49ers home. And hopefully Kurtis is back sooner rather than later. But the good news is discharged from the hospital. Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan, they FaceTimed in between the practice and the game. And, cool collaboration between two coaches who are good friends. Saleh called Shanahan his mentor earlier, and here is the back and forth of how the collaboration worked in between the practice and yesterday's game.
We're not the biggest note takers, but we're more FaceTimers. So we sat there and FaceTimed a little bit last 2 nights, just talking about what we saw from each other. It's a little bit easier when you're in different conferences. You don't have to lie as much. You can be a little bit more honest, but I know he definitely isn't always. He's still trying to find things out, and so am I. But it was good for us to practice against each other, have someone that especially seeing Gus and stuff, and White Cotton, who was here for a little bit, Tony Oden. But it was good to catch up with all those guys this week.
So you can afford to share a little bit more if you don't play the guy in the season. The first time the 49ers and Titans might play again this year is the Super Bowl at SoFi. Who knows? Maybe it will happen. Saleh against Shanahan. Anyway, first game in the books. How about I take you into the locker room for some interviews?
It's just, you play how you practice. And, there's things, I'm not just going to say, I was perfect. There's a lot of things I need to work on. But, I'm just blessed, man. Give thanks to God, to my teammates, just to make it happen.
You almost got your first sack. It got called back because of the penalty. That had feel good for a second there.
It's all good, man, I'll be right back.
Playing against mostly a first-string offense, what jumped out at you about playing at this level, the NFL game?
Football is football, man. You know how to play. You're gonna make plays.
I don't know if you probably didn't get a chance to see, but Stribling's catch down the sideline. Did you have a chance? What was your vantage point on that? Did you see a replay of that or anything?
Oh, when they say he stepped out?
No, on the catch, the nice toe tap, like the 30-yard play down the sideline.
Oh no, I don't remember, but that boy's a baller.
Yeah.
He's one of them. So, that's my guy. Keep working, man. The sky's the limit.
Any vets give you any talking points today or an encouragement, like as you're out in the field?
All the vets, Samo, Osa, CJ, those guys just telling me, man, just go out there and play ball. Don't be nervous, just play your game, and good things will happen. So I ain't gonna lie, a little bit before the game, I was a little nervous, but once I stepped foot on the field, like I said, football just came to me.
What was it like tonight, kind of going through that for the first time?
Yeah, it was a blessing. Something I dreamed of ever since I was a kid. I ain't gonna lie, I was a little nervous. Way before the game. Woke up confident, and as time, got closer, I was nervous. So, just to be out there, just to tell myself, like, I'm living my dream. So, just be in the moment, and, that's what I did. All the butterflies on the way.
What was the last time you were nervous? Before this game, like college or high school? Or?
Yeah, I'll say, every game I'm nervous. I ain't gonna lie. Every game I play, I'm nervous, because it's just like I want to be great, in everything I do. So it's like, what if I do this wrong? What if I do this wrong? That's what makes me nervous. So, so I just be myself, be in the moment. Don't give myself too much rowdy, and just take one play at a time.
What's the best advice you've gotten so far in this camp from veteran guys or guys who are already tackles or anything you kind of learned and taking a heart?
I say my coach Casseret, I give thanks to him, believing in me, critiquing everything that I'm doing, whether it's with stepping on line, being my technique. I just thank him, just being on my ass, what I'm saying? Just every time I'm out there, there's always something I can get better at. So I appreciate Coach Chris, and I appreciate, all the vets, that's on the D-line, just hyping me up, making sure, like, when I do have a bad play, it's to move on. One bad play doesn't define you. So, I'm grateful for them. They got good personalities, and I'm thankful.
You had a run stop early. How big was that to get you into the groove today, kind of knock off some of those jitters?
Yeah. That was great. It was a blessing. I feel like, that's the momentum. I'm a momentum guy. Once one play happens, then, it's over with. I get hot and, I keep on going. So, that was a big stop and, it was a blessing for sure.
You mentioned that momentum. We see you in practice. You get a win in one-on-ones. You like to let it out. Yeah. Did you feed on? Are you a guy who feeds off emotion a little bit too?
Yeah.
Is that part of big part?
Once I get hot, it's over with. I win one, and then next thing you know, I'm in my head like, okay, I got this. So I built that confidence, and it's over. But I'm a rookie, so anything can happen. I can go
How frustrating was the missing a little time with the bone bruise and you get up to a good start and then miss a little time? How'd you kind of take that and digest it and get better while not practicing?
Yeah, just believing in myself, believing in God, knowing that when I get on the field, I know what I can do. I had a great group of vets, that's taught me, everything that I needed to know. And, just have my back, they knew that, I was bummed for being on the sideline, but just to see those guys work, it gives me this motivation to go out there and play for them.
What were you kind of doing to just stay in it while not able to practice? I mean, taking mental reps and that.
I was in it.
Yeah.
I was in it.
Yeah.
I was working, what I'm saying? Watching every play, watching the guys, seeing what they can do, and then what they do, how I can add it to my game.
What's it like being in a room with Nick Bosa? He's not the most vocal guy, but it seems like when he says things, he says pretty meaningful things.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Has he rubbed off on you?
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. I love Nick Bosa. I told him first time I got here, I've been watching you since I was in middle school. So,
What did he say about that?
He was like, yeah. Is that right? That's my guy, though, I love bro.
Did you see him today?
Yes, I did see him.
What did he say after the game?
He just smiled at me, gave me a handshake. And he said something to me, I forgot.
Some other rookies had good nights tonight. What are your impressions of guys like Stribling and Price Hawk?
Yeah. My band, Ephesians, my guy Romelo, Duggar, and Strib, them boys is ballers, there's something cooking over here, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm a big fan of Melo. Matter of fact, I'm a big fan of all those guys, you know what I'm saying? Those are my dogs. And, just seeing guys like them work, makes me want to work hard for them.
How's that working? You guys click right away, or how's it going? The process?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we click, Strib, he more of a quiet guy, but, that's my dog. He'll talk to you. He'll laugh with you. But Melo, Efi, and, Doug, they're my boys.
And then, whenever we go to 11 personnel, Strib will go with the F and I'll go with the C. So, just being able to, kind of fill in those shoes as much as possible. And, me and Devo, and Devo's been great, so it's been great to learn from.
Can you talk about just the process of learning how to return punts and how that's come about?
Yeah, especially in this league, you know what I mean? Everything's a game of inches, and everybody's so fast and physical, and every, kind of step back that you take, that's 5 yards somebody's gaining on you, trying to come tackle you. It's kind of the Sky helped really last year with that a lot, is just kind of being around a guy who, was kind of forced to catch punts at Kansas City whenever he was there. So, it's been a fun journey, but I feel like I'm getting better at it.
You say a fun journey?
Yeah.
It's a challenge, though, right?
Yeah. For sure. Knowing that everybody in the stadium is looking at you and everybody on the sideline is expecting you to catch the ball, and it's just you and the ball. So
was there wind tonight that you had to deal with too?
There was a little bit of wind. Good thing it was going. It wasn't swirling and going.
That never happened.
East to west. So. Yeah.
Is it different when Waitman is punting to you with the left foot?
Oh, for sure. I feel like catching punch from him makes it a lot easier, especially whenever you got a right-footed punter, because the spin is just so much different. It's like catching from a lefty quarterback.
You may have been asked this already, but how would you assess your own personal performance today?
I felt like I did pretty good. I felt like there was some things that I needed to clean up in the run game, and just going and blocking guys and staying on guys. And making sure my guy doesn't make the tackle. But overall, I felt like I had a really good game. I played a sound game, no mental errors. So yeah.
Can you take us back a year? Do you remember what you were thinking after the first preseason game last year?
Yeah, my ankle hurts a lot, and just being able to push through that, and obviously it was a little bit of disappointment just because I kind of knew that my ankle had been hurting really bad, especially throughout the game. I think it happened like the first quarter or something like that, and a little bit of it was disappointment just because I knew that it was something serious, but kind of after that, the next day was just how am I going to come back from this, and how am I going to still stay in it without being in it, you know what I mean? And that's being around the team and being out there making plays. So yeah.
Even though it's just that one game, did you do enough in that game to, in your mind, think
oh, I can do this. Like this is.
Yeah, 1,000%. Especially, I think last year the Broncos defense was coming off like being the number 2 or number 1 defense, and they had their starters out there that game, and I kind of felt like, maybe I can do this, and maybe being a 4th round draft pick, not everybody expects you to go out there and kind of contribute right away, but that wasn't really my mindset. My mindset was I'd be able to go out there and contribute immediately, but obviously injuries kind of set me back a little bit. But yeah.
Your momentum got really disrupted a lot by injuries. Like, how did you, I guess, reflect on that season, what you got out of it, and how you could kind of build on that?
Yeah, I think I just spent a lot of time this offseason just really working on my diet. I think my diet has been a big part of, me being able to stay healthy, especially through this camp and get through this camp. I kind of bulked up a little bit. I'm about 205 to 202, staying in that range. I think last year I was about 195. So, just really, I think I dropped in like 1% body fat as well, like 2%. So, just making sure that I'm leaning out a little bit and just cleaning up my diet and really just trying to stay healthy this year.
What is your diet?
A lot of it's just a lot of protein. I try to cut out as many carbs as possible. I like to only eat carbs in the morning. But then, in the afternoon, there's a lot of steak, a lot of chicken, especially at dinner too, vegetables, and, kind of, I'm a really big sweet tea drinker, so I'm trying to stay away from the sweet tea and the sweet coffee, so, yeah.
To have Coach Shanahan on the side, I know he's been working his way back, but what did it mean to you guys to have him actually here coaching?
Yeah, whenever he comes out to practice, when the first couple practices and he was standing in the back, I think just his presence, is really felt throughout this team, especially on offense, him being the play caller and stuff like that. So, and then, over this last couple of weeks, he's been actually calling the plays and trying to work his way back in, and it's been great, especially because just having your head coach out there in general is really like good, and just knowing that he's okay and working his way back.
How much did the extra work with Brock and Mac in Nashville help you out going to this camp?
I think that helped a lot, just with the camaraderie in general and building the bond. I think that was the first time I ever really got to spend time with those guys outside of the locker room and outside of work. So just seeing how Brock thinks and understanding how George gets open, I think that really helped. And hopefully it leads into the season.
And being available for all these practices, going into training camp, how much has it helped you?
I think it's helped me tremendously. Obviously, we've had some guys go down, and we brought in some new guys as well. So just knowing that I can be out there and be the best ability is being availability, and that's kind of something that I've been sticking with this off season. So it's been really good.
Thank you guys.